on this snowy day. This is actually going to be our last Wednesday.
Well, technically last week's supposed to be the last Wednesday, but
yeah. So from now on, we are going to be having our podcast episodes come out on Mondays, and then we are also starting a little solo episodes, like 5-10 minute episodes, just separately, me and Caitlin alternating every other week on Fridays, which will be a super exciting thing that we're going to start
Speaking of
introducing to the
exciting
podcast.
things, we had a snow day yesterday, which was, for us working at a school, it's like the best thing ever, even though you're supposed to come back on break on Tuesday and then you get a snow day, like, it made my morning.
This dog
You go away,
smells
Riley.
like outside. Caitlin has her puppy in here, and Riley is just like lick, 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 everything. Bite, bite. Oh, she was biting the cord, by the way.
Oh,
Ew.
feather head.
I actually had a very, very productive snow day yesterday. Well, kind of. I got quite a bit done, mostly just cleaned. I got outside a little bit. I made a meal, which honestly, Caitlin knows I don't usually ever make big meals, but I went. She growled at me.
You don't ever usually make meals, to be completely honest.
And then this morning I just shoveled snow, which felt like a whole workout, and I didn't do the workout yet, so.
I still need to do mine as well. What shirt is, like, what's on the inside of that shirt?
North
Okay,
Face.
it's just a plain
That's what it
shirt.
says.
I really want to touch on really quick before we get into today's episode about the ebook that launched on New Year's 1st, so January 1st. And it's 4 weeks like we talked about, but we have just started filming some of the exercise tutorials. So if you've downloaded the ebook and you're struggling with knowing what to do for the exercises, the tutorials will be posted here shortly, especially for Monday, Tuesday. And we'll obviously continue to work to get the rest of those exercise tutorials up. But as long as we get through like week, I think 3, that should be pretty much all the new exercises. Week 4 might have a couple that we added in there, but otherwise we're going to get those up for you so you guys have something to go by. You can always go ahead and put it in Google. I mean, it may not be exactly what we programmed, but for the most part, like a dumbbell RDL is going to be what that is.
Yeah. Besides the ebook, with the new year coming around, as you know, we're super excited to start off with like different things kind of integrated into our routines, but it all just starts with the one choice. And I've been not reading books lately, but I found a book yesterday. I made the specific choice just to start on that one thing yesterday, so I read a book yesterday. And
a whole book? Or you're just talking about like pages?
Yeah, pages. Not a whole book.
So I read a book yesterday.
I read the whole thing, actually. I was really into it. But I stopped after about 45 minutes. So yeah, just make a choice. A change starts from one choice that you make to do something different.
You used to read every morning too when you were doing 75 hard.
Yeah, it was.
You just kind of got off it.
Mhm.
Awesome. Well, we want to kind of like, today's episode is going to be all about kind of like really talking about that voice in the back of our head and understanding the real reason behind why you've never made it through any of your any of your New Year's goals. Not just 2023 New Year's goals, but any of your New Year's goals. And the first thing I really wanted to talk about is to stop valuing the shit that is keeping you from your best self. So a lot of times we do a lot of things for people that does not align with us, and we go out of our way to do things that we know isn't going to be on the path towards like whatever goals we have or whatever it is that we view ourselves to be. And that's kind of the first thing I really want to like kind of mention quick, is that goes well in today's podcast, but also the fact that we're spending too much time doing things that is not in our best interest.
And if you do those things, I feel like the moment you do it or you say yes to something you don't want to do or you're sucked into things, I feel like you just feel guilty and kind of angry with yourself for not sticking your ground and like staying to what. She's ripping something up. Like staying your ground, probably like tearing wrapping paper, I think. And just kind of being true to yourself. At least that's how I always feel. I always feel so frustrated if I really, just let my guard down for a second, or if people surprise me and be like, hey, can you do this and this? And I'm like, oh, yeah, sure. Because that's kind of how I was raised in a way. Just say yes and agree and help people out and, be a good person. But I think that at a certain point, when you keep saying yes and you keep trying to be that good person, you really wear on yourself. You wear yourself down. You start getting frustrated. You don't have time for yourself. So just taking a moment, that's my biggest thing anyways, I'm really working on, is taking a moment to just think about, is this what I really want to do? Do I want to say yes to this? Or, do I need to like protect my own peace and just say no for once?
I like that. So that's really like a really good introductory to what today's episode is. So we kind of have two things we're going to talk about. The first one is the internal battle we all have with food and why it's so impossible, it seems like, for a lot of people to be able to stop putting things in their mouth. Like they are what do you call it? To food. They're
a slave.
A slave, yeah, literally a slave to food. A slave to what they put in their mouth. Like you just feel trapped in that never-ending cycle because you don't have the
capabilities.
Yeah, almost like capabilities, mental like fortitude to be able to like say no to something.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it just comes from also doing things almost mindlessly. Like having a conversation and seeing something, not really thinking about it, going over it and like just putting it in your mouth.
Right. And I think it really comes down to not letting those external factors, like we already talked about other things like putting you off path and doing things that you don't like, but also like letting those external factors like food make decisions for you. So we know how powerless it feels to kind of almost feel a victim to eating and overeating more than what we need, or eating crap food because it's in front of us and we give ourselves some kind of excuse. But like food should not be something that controls your life. It's something that allows us to live, but it shouldn't be something that you live by.
And sometimes I kind of dug even more deeper on the side of like, why are we like putting things in our mouth? I think like you're saying, a lot of it comes from just not being disciplined, and if you don't want it, if you're not hungry. But a lot of it also comes from boredom. We like the taste of it. We're nervous. We're emotional eating. Like we're stressed out about something. It's a habit. We formed a habit to come home and eat, or wake up and eat, or even coming down to like trying to start out a new diet, restricting yourself to the point that you binge at the end of the night. Also, like places and people can trigger cravings, kind of.
100%. Like I think this kind of goes into like even the New Year's thing. Like when you come around to the New Year's every year and you wonder to yourself, why is it I'm still putting the same goal down for the past 5 years? Like what is it that's stopping me from achieving this goal? If you really ask yourself, what's the reason? Is it going to be one thing? Is it going to be multiple things? And to me, I think it comes down to skill, which we'll kind of get into. But I really think people need to ask themselves, that question. Like, why am I not reaching this goal? If my goal is to lose 30 pounds and I'm still 30 pounds overweight next year and the next year and the next year, what is it? Is it the food? Is it the people you surround yourself with? Is it because you can't say no to friends night out? Like, what is the reason?
I just feel like for a lot of people, like you're saying, they have the goal of like eat healthier, lose weight, stay in a workout routine, and a lot of it just comes down to like willpower. I feel like for me, sometimes I think for a lot of other people, because you're faced with choices every single day, and it's like if you're not mentally strong enough to say no to a choice, or to move past something, or to not be lazy and go out of your way and make yourself a healthier meal, you're not going to succeed.
I also think it comes down to making excuses for yourself. Like willpower definitely comes in there, along with the part of making excuses. So like if I start the new year and I'm gonna be like, all right, for the first month I just don't want to go to bars, whatever it is, if that's my goal, and it comes Friday, so 5 days later after the new year, and all of a sudden your friend's like, hey, let's go out this weekend. And you're like, yeah, it's just one time. It's not a big deal, whatever. Like, I'll make up for it on, Saturday, whatever. I'll be good. And, like, right there, you just, like, you took the easy way out and you made an excuse for yourself saying, like, well, it's just one night. I'll make it up on Saturday. I'll do another workout, whatever it is. And that's just kind of like, that's not having the willpower to say no, but it's also, making it easier on yourself to do the things that you don't want to do.
And I think you're trying to rationalize, like,
yeah,
why you're doing it. You're saying, well, I'll be left out if I don't go. They're going to stop asking me if I don't go. What will I do by myself here at night? I'll be, like, bored and lonely if I don't go.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have enough power to stick to what you personally want, and you let other people kind of rule your life in a way. Like, you're not self-assured enough to be comfortable not going out with other people, not doing what other people are doing.
And, like, again, that kind of comes down to the same food thing. Like, you could have that in the new year, be like, I don't want to have any treats for the first week. And it's the same thing. It's just being like, it's one treat, it's a small thing, whatever. Like, I'm all for balanced, meals and whatever. But I think that when people get to the area where they're able to say they can have balanced food, they can have, that 80-20, the 20% soul foods, I think they're in a good spot, in a good relationship with food. I don't know if someone who binge eats ice cream and has cookies for dessert and eats chips constantly is able to right away be like, I'm just gonna have a little bit. Like, if you have that kind of relationship where you start and you can't stop, then maybe it's not something that you should start out with. Maybe you shouldn't put a little bit on your diet right away.
But
Maybe
honestly,
you should try and get rid of something, or learn to control it. I don't know. I don't know if getting rid of it's the right idea or learning to control it. But there's got to be a way. Either you buy smaller packs of chips, or you get yourself a small quart-size ice cream and you give yourself one spoonful a night. But there's got to be something in place to help you get over that binge eating cycle, or just shoving things in because you're bored.
But that's honestly the problem. That's the problem. Is people come to the new year, they say, I'm eating healthy, and that's it. They're so restrictive that they don't want to eat anything bad at all, and that's when the binging happens. People are not stable, I guess, enough with food to be able to do that 20% of like a chocolate here and a chocolate there.
That's what I'm saying, is that it's almost, everybody's so different on what they can actually do. Some people can really do the cold turkey. Like, it's just not my life no more. I don't want that. I don't really care if I have it, whatever. It doesn't suit me, and it's out. Other people, they can't do the cold turkey, and then they just binge harder when they come back from it. And yet, other people can't do the 20-80, the 20% soul foods, whatever. So, like, I can't 100% sit here and say, you need to do it this way, because there's a way that works for me that doesn't work for other people.
But also, I think cold turkey is just not the way to go, because
it depends on the person. I really think so.
If that's the person's lifestyle, that they really hate sweets, they hate anything that's not healthy for you, like quote, whatever, then yeah, they can do that. But I don't think a lot of people in the world are like that. I don't think a lot of people in the world do cold turkey.
I'm just saying,
to it long term.
It's not even about, I don't think it's really about them hating it. Some people just have that willpower that they're like, yeah, I'm done. Some people have that. I think in today's world, the discipline and willpower that it takes to like cut something out completely from life is a lot of work. And I don't think a lot of people have that type of willpower to make that happen.
I mean, I don't have the willpower to just cut it out, because I don't want to cut it out. It comes down to like, what is your actual goal? Like, what do you really want to do? You'll stick to. And there's no way in hell that I will stick to not having a sweet for like the next, how long? For like a month or a week even.
I do believe, it really does come down to what you're going to stick to. We've talked about that with training and everything else, and the same thing goes with New Year's resolutions. Write something down that you can actually stick to, and that way it's going to be a lot harder for you to just, give it up within a week. Because you want these goals to be something that can better your life, and also something that's going to be a long-term change.
With these internal battles, you just broke your coaster. With these internal battles and not being able to control what you put in your mouth, I think in those moments when you go up to a Kit Kat, or when you eat, a donut that you found, or the chips from the cupboard, or the Werther's, whatever it is that you're not being able to control, in that moment you need to be more aware. Awareness is what helps you meet goals. Awareness is what helps you start new habits. Being aware in your day-to-day life is truly life-changing. If I go up to the cabinet and I pull out a Kit Kat, I'm like, I'm going to eat it. And then in my head I'm really aware, like, okay, Kayla, well, are you hungry? And you start asking yourself questions. Are you hungry? Are you eating this because you're bored? Because you just want to put it in your mouth? You see it, you know you like Kit Kat, so you want to eat it. Being aware helps you understand that, okay, I don't want it, I don't need it, I'm not hungry, it's not going to do anything for me. It helps you put it back. But then after you put it back, a lot of us need to kind of redirect. And redirect in terms of going on a walk, doing a workout, doing a puzzle, reading a book, anything that can kind of get our mind off that Kit Kat so that we're not so likely to go back and eat the Kit Kat.
I like the redirection. I think redirection can, like, yesterday I was looking at these like cookies online that I can make, and I love baking things. And I was like, well, I know I'm hungry right now, and I know that sounds good, but also I'm aware that I'm hungry. And that's also the reason why I'm craving the cookies. I'm hungry in general, and not like something sweet, whatever. But the minute after, like, I pushed that aside and I went ahead and I made supper, then I ate supper, and then I went back to the cookies. I'm like, yeah, I don't feel like making it. One, it's a lot of work, and two, I'm not really that hungry for it. You know, like, I redirected myself, and I was aware.
Your dog is being naughty.
Hey, you go get it.
Actually, very similar to Caitlin. I had the same thing. I had like
Riley, enough.
I had two cans of like, you know, the dough you can buy, like the biscuit dough from the grocery store. And I really wanted to make monkey bread. I was literally holding it in my hands, thinking about if I had all the stuff to make monkey bread, and this was for breakfast. I was hungry, and then I literally thought about, you know, like the amount of sugar and things that just really aren't healthy, and how I usually feel pretty groggy and like let down and just slow the rest of the day when I eat sugar for breakfast. So I went and I put it back, and I instantly made myself eggs. Like, I redirected, and then I tried to satisfy the craving in a different way, because I was hungry, and I did have self-awareness to say, okay, yes, I do want to eat, but maybe this is not the thing that I should eat right now to fuel my body for the best possible, you know, day ahead, to be moving and not feel groggy and weighed down and kind of like just kind of down in a lull. So redirection is huge, especially when we're not able to control and we had that internal battle with wanting to eat something we really know we shouldn't. At the end of the day, we've talked about this. If I do give in to my kind of temptation, or if I'm not thinking I eat the Kit Kat, I don't want that to be a gateway to like opening the floodgates, I guess, like to letting the rest of my day be determined by that Kit Kat. And what I mean by that is I don't want to go the rest of the day with, okay, now I'm going to have the Reese's, and now I'm going to make the monkey bread, and then after I make the monkey bread, I'm going to have a little bit of a break, and then maybe I'll drive to town and, you know, make some really fatty supper or something, or buy some supper. So just, if you do eat the Kit Kat, don't feel bad, it's fine, you ate it, whatever, it's done, but then don't let that kind of be the rest of your day.
So guys, that was really the big reason that we wanted to bring that on the podcast quick, is because I really feel like we as humans struggle with being able to stop putting shit in our mouths, food in our mouths, things that we don't need in our mouth. Our whole, like, I'll say our survival is surrounded around food. It's what makes us live, breathe, go do things, gives us energy, right? We need food to live. But it shouldn't be something that dictates our lives. And it shouldn't be something that we can't say no to when we know it doesn't align with our goals. So, like Phil said, using those different tips that we've given you to really help you navigate that if that's something you struggle with. So whether that be moderate proportions, whether that be listening to your body and being more aware, or even just avoiding restricting certain food groups and being able to like slowly integrate that into your diet. But regardless, be aware of what you're eating and make sure that it's something that you want to be eating, not just because you're doing it because of people or whatever else it is.
Yeah, and I think also with that, one last kind of tip is to be more aware and to kind of keep yourself full is drinking lots of water, obviously, and then making sure that you're eating moderate proportions throughout the day. So don't go like from...
I said that, but I literally just said that a second
Did you
ago.
just say that? I was listening to everything you said. I did not
Did
hear
you?
that. That was on my side of the thing. I wrote that. Did you also write that?
No, but I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Go.
Alright. That was all I want to say. Just eating moderate proportions throughout the day is huge.
Alright guys, we're going to get in the second half of today's episode, which we kind of already touched on earlier, but it's the one skill you need to smash your 2023 goals. So we already kind of mentioned that a lot of you come back to this time of year with the same couple goals. Maybe it's get six pack, maybe it is lose 30 pounds, whatever it is, you come back and for some reason it makes a list every year. So we really want to talk about the skill that we feel like you guys need. And I think a lot of people look at people who are successful and they say, they just have something that I don't have. They know a secret that I don't know. They were born with something, whatever it is. And guys, that's not the truth. Nobody's born with anything to be successful. Nobody is born with six-pack of abs. Nobody is, born skinny or small or in shape. And
although we do realize that maybe some people have help in terms of financial help from their parents, they still can't make it unless they have certain skills.
Well, not just necessarily from their parents. Some people aren't.
Well, whatever. If they have financial help, I'm saying that they didn't work for, is what I'm trying to get at.
Or some people are just,
Then I think people kind of say, well, you got that. Like, that's why you're doing so well.
the truth is, it's not a trait. They're never born with this. They have a skill, and the skill is discipline. Discipline is what's going to help somebody reach the goals that they want to reach. If you don't have any discipline, that's you're not going to be able to get anywhere that you want to go. Like that's it's basically just somebody who is not disciplined is relying on motivation, and motivation is instant gratification, right? You feel motivated because in that moment you feel like you achieved something, right? And a lot of us are long term waiting for that, that long term gratification. It's a hard wait, but if you're disciplined, that's what you get out of it. You get long term gratification. It's not an instant gratification like motivation, which I understand, which is why a lot of people rely on motivation, but it's fleeting like we talked about. And as much as it's great to use to get started, it's not going to be something that lasts you.
I think this, like you said earlier, a big reason why people don't seem to be disciplined or have that skill is for some reason they kind of think they're undeserving of these bigger things in life. It's like they don't have enough self-worth that they feel they should have the good life, the good things. They should succeed. They should be, fit and healthy. It's like they just feel undeserving.
Right. And you honestly, if that's you who has that same thing on your list every year, you lack the ability to make a decision in the short term that'll benefit you in the long term. Like that's all it is. It's all those short term decisions that add up and compound and compound and compound. And next thing you know, you've made that long term destination that you've been reaching for the past year. But if you can't choose the path that you want to go every day, because it's constant and it's going to get tired and it's going to be a lot of work. But that's what discipline is, right? It's knowing what you want and doing that and having your blinders on to all the other things because, and I don't know, even me and Kill, like we talk about all the time, like there's so many things that can get me off my path. Like even just when we were working out constantly in the summer and then we had a death in the family and then it was cold, the sun changed, like there's so many things that
That's life.
That's life, yeah, but that's what I'm saying, there's so many external things that get you off your path. Not only like external things, but also like people. And I just think that you have to realize that there's people who are not always going to be your cheerleaders. And there's people who aren't always going to, think that you can do it. And those people are basically just projecting their own inadequacies and their own understanding that they'll never be anything great onto you. It's not your problem. Yeah, maybe they don't think that they could ever achieve such an amazing goal or such a big thing in their life because they don't have that discipline, they don't have that, that fire underneath them to actually want to do something, but that has nothing to do with you.
I also think that when people feel that way and they kind of project that onto other people, in those moments where you get off your disciplined path and you go backwards and you're off course, in those moments you start to believe the naysayers. You start to believe what you've heard other people say, like it won't happen, you won't get there, you can't be that dedicated, and then you have a very hard time coming back onto path of discipline, the path that's gonna get you places, So I feel like you stay back on those windy paths, just not really wanting to get back to your main road of disciplined Kayla, whatever, and it takes you a really long time before you start believing yourself to like, I can do this, I am disciplined, I want this.
Well, it's just like when you look at, an NBA player or an NFL player and you think, wow, they got somehow they got there in life, but that can never be me. I can never be that, special or talented in my life. I can never achieve such greatness. Do you think that they didn't have to work their freaking ass off to get where they are? There are a lot of people who aren't going to reach that because they don't have the work ethic or the fire underneath their ass to actually get moving into action, whatever goal they have in their life. But if you have that goal, then what people say shouldn't matter to you. Because, there's going to be a lot of family members and people in your life that are close to you that say, wow, that's a crazy goal, but good luck with that.
It's almost like you don't even want to tell people your goals if they're so big that you think people won't agree, won't think you can achieve them. So you almost don't, and then you kind of stay, like you're not in your own power then. You kind of stay behind. You don't feel like you can be disciplined because you don't feel like you'd be good enough or supported, whatever, but I think that also being disciplined is being straight up front with what you want, telling people no matter what they think, and really sticking to your guns about things. And like I said earlier, and we were talking about, being disciplined is sometimes getting off the path, but having the discipline to get back to the path. Like, it doesn't mean you're not disciplined if you get off for a little bit. That's fine. Discipline is coming back time after time, mess up after mess up, to keep freaking going. Because at some point, those mess ups and those times off the path are just going to be less and less.
And if you keep chipping away at whatever it is that brings you happiness, or that is, whatever goal you have, whether that be to start your own business one day, or if it's to, like we said, lose that weight, or if it's something completely different, move someplace across the states, that shouldn't be a goal that you have on your list every single year that you feel like you've barely gotten anywhere on. Maybe it's slightly changed every year on the list and you've gotten closer to it, but it shouldn't ever be something that you constantly put on your list and you realize you've got to nowhere near closer to that goal every single year. Like, that's why I think that for this year, 2023, it's important that you need to ask yourself, why are you still in the same situation right now? What's the reason? Why haven't you been able to accomplish these things? Why do you think you haven't reached the goals you've set in your life? What is the reason behind it? Is it because you're not disciplined? Is it because there's people in your life that are getting in the way? Do you need to cut some dead weight? What's the reason? Because every year it's going to continue to be on your list if you don't sit there and you sit down and you say, all right, it's time to make a change and actually work towards what I want in my life.
And I think working towards the things you want year after year, if they're huge goals, then that's just kind of part of it. It might always be on your, New Year's resolution list type of thing. Like building a house or saving money towards a house, like that could be
right. It might be on your 3-year vision board, whatever.
But things such as, like take more time for myself, that's not a 3-year taking time to get there type of thing. That's a consistency thing, discipline thing, making sure you do that every single day or every single week like you need to be doing it for.
So I guess really, guys, what I want to come on here to say is that you need to decide today to be disciplined. What would your life look like if you actually accomplished these goals you wrote every year? What would your life look like? Maybe a goal that you wrote 5 years ago, you could have been there by now. If you're disciplined and you really wanted it back then, you could have been there. So what would your life look like if you accomplished those goals? And I think that's the great thing that we've always loved about the vision board, and why we talked about that in one of our previous episodes, is because it's so great to envision something that you want in your life every day to make sure that you are keeping that in your sight, right? That you're on the right road. Hi, pretty girl.
It is super important. And I think also that, your later self is going to love you. She just knocked the camera. It's going to love you for really just choosing you at the end of the day. Choosing to be better, choosing to do more, choosing to kind of stay on that path.
And so you guys need to realize that this is not a trait. Nobody's born with this. This is a skill, and you have to refine this skill. You need to define your reality and make it something that you are able to do. And yeah, it's going to be a lot of work and it's going to be hard, but at the end of the day, you're going to be a much better person by sticking to what you really want to do. And that includes us. Like, I have a hard time sticking to things, but when I get really clear about what I want and why I want it, I'm zoned in and focused.
Personally, my biggest reason I guess I have a hard time sticking to things is because I have a path and I say, okay, today this is what I want to do. I want to do this, this, and this. And then my biggest thing is, like we talked about at the beginning of the podcast, someone will reach out and say, hey, can you do this, this, or this? And then I put aside everything I wanted to accomplish, everything I wanted to stick to. I say yes to that person. I go do something for them or help them with something. And then by the time I get back, I just feel tired or drained, or I feel like it's too late to accomplish the things I really wanted to do. And then maybe I'm just feeling stressed and I decide to make myself a crappy supper or eat the, whatever kind of crappy food is laying around because I just feel like it. And I'm just not being disciplined enough to say no, keep to your goals, say no to that person if you can't do it. Just be honest with them and with yourself.
And I think we talk about food as like the main idea behind this because I think that's something that like 99% of the population almost like deals with. Like, food's only gotten better tasting as we've grown up. Like,
more preservatives, more sugar.
There's so much stuff out there that just like makes your taste buds be like, just go off in like fireworks, that it is something that I think almost everybody deals with. Even people who are, like in the best shape of their lives, they still have those days where they scrummage to like letting food control what their day looked like.
I think it's probably one of the biggest, for sure, problems I think of the U.S. I don't know, everywhere probably.
100%. Thank you guys for listening. We really appreciate you guys' support. We are excited for Friday to come. It's Kayla's turn first, so
yes.
We are releasing that that little 5 to 10 minute short segment episodes on Fridays for you. Was it Fridays or Thursdays?
I thought it was Fridays.
You said Thursday one day when we were writing our new goals, but then
We'll put it up in our stories. But what you can kind of get excited for, hopefully, is I'm going to be talking all about manifesting and hiring your vibrational frequency. We talked about this a little bit before, but I really want to talk about like manifesting your dream life and something is burning. Oh, did you make food and leave
I
it?
tried.
And just kind of getting to your highest power, the highest version of you, and setting, I guess, your day up to make sure that you are trying to achieve the life you want and the things you really want in life. Other than that, that is our the next mini episode is coming out this week by me, Kayla. And then all we ask that is if you guys like the show, if you want to share with one person or just tell somebody about it, whatever, we'd really appreciate it. And again, only if you really like the show or the episode. But other than that, we thank you guys so much for tuning in with us. And we will see you guys this coming Thursday or Friday for the mini episode. Thanks, guys.